This video is intended to help you with learning the fretboard, not necessarily the pitch names on the fretboard, but scale degrees and relationships between the root, the fifth, the octave. When you're looking at a fretboard diagram, it's like this. It's represented like this with the low strings in the bottom and the high strings on top. If this is confusing, pretend you're holding your guitar and you're peering over it and looking at the fretboard. That's how it should appear to you in this diagram. This is, if we're working in the key of G, this is your third fret on your E string. So this is where the root would be. This is where the fifth would be. This is where the octave would be. This would hold true no matter where you started. So let's say instead of G, we are over here on B. This would be where your root would be. This would be where your fifth would be. This would be where the octave is. This shape holds true as long as you're starting on your E or the A string. So as long as you're on the E or the A, these shapes will hold true. So here's your root, here's your fifth, here's your octave. Here's a blank fretboard we can use to practice. So here's C. So here's our root for C. Here's the fifth is going to be right here. And here's the octave. Again, as long as you start on the E or the A with your roots, it'll always be the same shape. Let's do the same thing in a different position. So how about B flat? So here's a B flat on your E string. So here's your B flat root. Here's your B flat fifth. And here's your B flat octave. Again, always the same as long as you start on the E or the A string for your root. Okay, going back to the key of G, your root, your fifth, your octave, those will maintain the same. Then we have the third and the sixth. So the third is one fret away. So here's your root. Here's your major third. So if you're in a diatonic key or a major scale, your major third or your natural three will always be right next to the root like this. So if you know where your root and your fifth and your octave is, you will always know where the major third is. Right above the major third is the major sixth. So root, third, root, sixth, root, fifth, root, octave. Now I recommend you pause this recording and spend a few minutes practicing this. Move it around and figure out where the right notes are. Okay, so let's practice this in a different key. Let's go to D. So here's your D. This is your fifth fret on your A string. So here's your D. Here's your fifth. Here's your octave. Again, it's always going to be the same. So then that moves your third over here. So here's your root. Here's your third. Here's your sixth. It's important to know these. Root, third, fifth, sixth, octave. So once you're comfortable with this, you want to add in a few remaining pitches. Here is the 4. This is the 7. And then here's the 2, where I drew that 5 there, which is kind of silly of me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You need to understand where all of these are and that they stay exactly the same as long as your root is on your E or your A string. Take a minute to pause and play through these and count your way through it and quiz yourself. Let's say we're in the key of C. So here is your root, here's your fifth, here's your octave. Those are always going to be the same. Let's move to a couple of different notes. All right. This is where your third's going to be. Again, it's the same shape as before. This is where your sixth is going to be. So play root, third, root, sixth. And then let's go to our 2 is going to be right here. So this is your 2. This is your 4. And then this is your 7. Whoa! This is your 7. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave.